Okay, good morning. This is Wednesday, August 22nd. It's 5 a.m. You're live right here at the command post in Prospect, Oregon. My name is Cale Casey. I'm one of the information officers with Pacific Northwest Team 2. We're under the command of Chris Schulte, the incident commander for our Type 1 team managing these fires here in the South Umpqua Complex. Thanks for joining us, and a big shout out to the firefighters, past and present, who are joining us in the feed today. As always, post your questions. We're looking forward to answering them all throughout the day. All right, let's get right into it today. The quick facts: the acreage hasn't changed. We did get infrared flights last night, so once they can interpret that data, we'll go ahead and post the new acreage. We knew that it grew, but we can't officially release anything yet. The containment has not changed either. 1,234 personnel still assigned to the fire, and we're going to jump into some highlights for you today. We're going to be covering about 5 highlights. They did work on the burn operation yesterday to secure this east line. We'll go into details on that. The Rogue River Siskiyou, the Umpqua, and the Fremont Wainema all released Campfire in the Wilderness bans, and we'll talk about that. The smoke from the regional fires settled in yesterday, and that's what you're seeing in the valleys here. The community meeting in Tiller is Thursday at 6 p.m. All are welcome. And we'll talk about how we're using a power shift with our firefighting resources to start them later in the morning so they can work later in the night. Okay, let's get into the burn yesterday. So the mission yesterday is to remove the fuel on the 6640 road in order to secure this eastern edge. So firefighters work with the task, purpose, and end state. The task: create the buffer so that this fire that's moving the Columbus and the miles towards each other cannot move outside of our containment line. The purpose: obviously holding it here. We want to hold it on the 6640 and we want to keep it west of the road. The end state: we're protecting all the values in this closed area here. These are private timber, federal timber areas, the 62 highway corridor, and the community of Prospect. So the firefighters know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and right now they are holding and securing and deepening this line. They worked all afternoon and into the evening, and it went very well. Okay, because human-caused fires are really taking off right now, and this fuel system is dry, and the drought that we have and the heat, the Rogue River Siskiyou, the Umpqua National Forest, and the Fremont Wainema have all agreed on the same campfire ban in the wilderness areas. That includes Sky Lakes, Rogue Umpqua Divide, the Mount Thielsen, and the Boulder Creek. So that we've posted those closures on the Umpqua page, on the Rogue Siskiyou page. We'll post them again on the Miles page, which we shared yesterday. So just if you're going to be out in the wilderness over the next few months, go ahead and keep a tab on that. That went into effect yesterday, and they do have wilderness rangers that are out there enforcing that. The reason for that, again, human-caused fires are taking off. We don't want any of those to start. Please be careful out there when you're camping and follow all the burn rules. Okay, the smoke yesterday, it dropped into all the valleys, really increased the bad breathing air out there for all of us. We know it's been tough on you all summer long. We have a big fire to the east of us called the Watson Creek fire that's near Paisley, Oregon. That's 32,000 acres now. With that east wind that came in yesterday, that pushed a lot of that smoke in here. It settled in the valleys. It kept the temperatures lower. It kept the cap on the fire, and it kept the winds down to about 4 to 10 miles an hour with gusts of 15. So it did serve a little bit to keep the fire activity down, but clearly it choked us out. And today the upper low will push out, and we'll get a return to northwest winds at some point in the afternoon. That should result in a little bit more clearing. Okay, moving on to the community meeting in Tiller. And just as a reminder, we have an entire camp for resources who are working on this part, in the north side of the Columbus fire and the west side of the Miles fire, that are staying out at the Seventh-day Adventist camp out there in Milo. This community of Tiller will be hosting a community meeting at the fire department. So if you're impacted by the fire in this region, or if you want to drive all the way out from the Shady Cove region, Thursday night, 6 p.m. We can't do a live feed because they don't have cell service or Wi-Fi there, but we will film it and we will post it onto our page. So if you can't make it, we'll go ahead and make it for you, available for you online. That'll also be available online on IncyWeb and on YouTube. So we don't just post things to Facebook. If you're watching this and you're wondering where else we post things, IncyWeb and also YouTube. Okay, so fire managers are using what's called a power shift, which means they're starting some of their elite firefighters who can do these technical burns at 10 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. Normally a fire crew, I just walked out to wash my face off before this live feed, and there's already 40 or 50 firefighters in line right now at 5 a.m., what we call dark 30, in the feed line, getting their coffee, getting ready for their day, getting their tools and lunches and everything dialed in. What the fire managers are doing is starting some of the more elite firefighters at 10 a.m., giving them time to rest in the morning, and that gives them also the ability to work them later in the afternoon. Oftentimes the burn window for us is afternoon, and so instead of starting the elite resources really early and then having them have to come off the line at 8 or so p.m., they can start them later in the morning and then have them work till later in the night. This is a 3-mile section of line. They got the fire brought basically all the way down that line, and they're deepening it now and holding it now. So really good move there. Resources are stretched thin all across the West. As you know, there's lots of fires burning everywhere. If you're interested in working in fire or working with the United States government and the USDA federal system next year, there'll be over 1,000 summer and seasonal jobs available in Oregon and Washington, and the application period is September 17th to October 12th. So usajobs.gov, we'll post more of that on our pages. Great opportunities for working in the summer, and as you can tell, fire seasons just keep getting busier and busier. The operational update is fairly straightforward today. As you know, the level 1 evacuations, everything down in the southern part of the fire is in patrol mode. Everything in the northern part of the fire is in patrol mode. We have the active efforts to secure the fire on the east with the burn, and we're still being very patient on the west here on the 2925 road. For those of you who weren't tracking necessarily how this fire grew, when it spread up into the high country here, this fire line has not been manipulated by helicopters or firefighters at all. This fire moved up into the higher country where it was wetter, where the fuels were less receptive, where they were still holding moisture from the winter, and it stopped on its own. So right now the fire is what we call hung up, or slowly burning, not moving very much at all on this west side. So rather than trying to bring it down in a hurried manner, we've been patiently waiting for the fire to find a little bit better alignment to come down to our line. So this is going to be a persistent, patient game for quite a while now. There's no need to rush it. The reason why we're securing the east side is that these fuels were burning more receptively. They're moving, and they were starting to threaten our values at risk on the east side. So we took action here to secure this. We're being very, very patient here. That is the operational update for the day. I want to thank my information staff. I think a lot of you wonder who we are and what we do here. I did about 7 years of fire medic work on the fire line before I became a public information officer. The guy behind the camera who you can't see, Trevor Fulton, is the incident commander at the 3 level and a division supervisor with loads of field experience. Carly Reed, who you can't see on the other side, this morning is supporting. She's done crew work. She's a wilderness ranger. A lot of us who you see in the community with the yellow shirts doing the information have done firefighting. We have a passion for it, but somebody's got to step up and talk to the public. That's our job. That's why we reach out to you and say, please, let us know what your questions are. Let us know what your concerns are. We want to make sure that every single thing that you have unresolved in your mind of how this fire is working, these are lightning caused, these are not human caused, how they spread, how we're managing them. Post your questions, meet us in town at the signboards, come to the community meeting. When we leave this assignment, we won't be here very long. This is going to start to get smaller and smaller. We want to make sure that you've had a chance to ask us. So please, we're reaching out to you. We also have an amazing mapping crew. Like I mentioned in the post the other night, we have a finance team that takes care of all the payment for all the firefighters, all the heavy equipment operators, all the professional timber fallers and loggers that we hire. Everybody gets taken care of by finance. I know that they're working extremely hard to take care of the over 1,200 people here. The kitchen staff is up almost the entire night. The security crew's out there all night. We have folks manning the radios all night for the night shift. There are literally people behind the scenes here in this village and over in, we call it a village, it's a yurt village here. When you drive by the highway, you can tell all the tents and it looks like a circus. Out in Milo, there's a whole nother spike camp. Those folks are working really hard, and it's all with the same task, purpose, and end state, to protect you and your communities. We'll go over a watch out real quick. Number 7 is terrains and fuels make escape to safety zones difficult. So anytime we're working in a burn operation, we want to make sure that the firefighters know exactly where they can go to escape the fire if it were to get up and start moving around and being a little bit more dangerous to them. So far so good, but that's one of the watch outs that we have. And then standard fighting fire order number 10, which is fight fire aggressively, having provided for safety first. That's what they're doing out there. They're being very aggressive on this east side to make sure we have a nice buffer there. As soon as we can get the IR map up, we'll post it for you. And again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.